Business process re-engineering is something that irritates all of us in operations. It haunts back every year after the annual budget is laid out. And guess what? Operations need to find out more capacity through streamlining, process re-engineering, process review, and similar such activities. Why is it that these initiatives never seem to end? Why do they come back every year? Are we not doing it the right way? This is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Continuous focus on business process reviews to create sustainable saves is the most common and one of the most vital element of managing operations. It's a common complaint heard from the floor that operation processes are not that elastic that you can squeeze it down every year by 10% or 15%. I've gone through it. I know how grumpy the mood on the floor can be whenever they get this target. But believe me, this is one of the most vital things we need to do, and we need to do it the right way. These initiatives, which you might refer as business process reviews or business process re-engineering or streamlining or operational excellence or whatever fancy name that suits your company or your company's consultants, are definitely not like the fairy godmother in Cinderella's tale who waved a wand and mice became horses and pumpkin became a carriage. It doesn't happen like that. We need to work it out to make that happen. Let's get started. The first one, and please do not underestimate this. Start with an open mind, free of any preconceived notion that, oh, this will never work. Let me tell you a secret. If there is any department where change can take place relatively easily, that is within operations. And the reason is quite simple. Generally speaking, operating procedures are always built up on convenience and are meant to adapt to changed environment. Competitors change, regulations change, technology changes, companies' budget allocation changes, leadership strategies change, business changes. Hence, operation has to change to adapt to all of these. The mantra of operation is right here, right now. Hence, by definition, there are normally no rigid structures set up on operations flow that are difficult to change. If you experience difficulty in effecting changes, probably you have not approached it in the right way. So go to your breakout area, make yourself a nice cup of coffee and get back to the huddle room with a belief that yes, we can do it. And if you have done that, congratulate yourself. You have crossed the most difficult hurdle in your journey. The second one, do not use a magnifying glass to look at your problem. All of us in operations are bogged down by problems. That's a part and parcel of our lives. But do not ever use a magnifying glass to look at your problem. You will get completely overwhelmed. If a fly sits on your wall, you may not even notice it, but just observe it under a powerful magnifying glass. It will look like a monster. You will get nervous, start reacting, and at the end will start fighting over something that may not have been required in the first place. By the time you finish killing it, you would probably have exhausted all your resources and bigger unattacked demons are still lurking below. The final one, do not jump into solving your problems, even when you think you know what your problems are. Sounds a bit odd, isn't it? If you know your problem, why don't you just attack and kill it? This is the pitfall which most of the projects cannot avoid getting into. There are two reasons behind this. First, do remember that your greatest pain area is not necessarily the one which needs your immediate attention. You need a detailed analysis to get to the root of the problem and solve that. Pain is at best a symptom. Disease could be elsewhere. Don't go for quick fix painkillers. Heal the disease. And second reason is that your biggest problem may not simply be the right candidate for your re-engineering project. Remember, business re-engineering projects are not panacea to all problems. You need a little more analysis to identify the problems which you would like to kill through your project. These projects generally do not have a large budget that can support deployment of a big team of analysts or can fund a large IT expenditure. These are expected to come out through brainstorming, detailed review, and by substituting a less efficient process with a more efficient one. For others, there are different weapons. So do not waste your resources on tackling such problems. It will be a futile effort and you will find yourself doing that every year without any result. Now, what should be our approach then? I want to keep this fairly general and stick to the principles which will work for all. You might need to tailor the approach a little bit depending on your particular business process.
Now let us discuss some logical steps which, if followed, are expected to yield good results. Step 1. Make a detailed list of all the operational activities relevant to your project that consumes time and resources.
Remember, operation is nothing but a conglomerate of multiple activities. It's very important that you have a complete list of that and you make that available for your review throughout the project.
This might sound very elementary and probably you're already thinking about your standard operating procedures and manuals. But hang on, take a moment to reflect if they really list out the activities you do on a daily basis or are just a list of instructions which you need to follow. Actual steps always differ. Your manual might say, refer to such and such document in such and such folder. But how do you reach there? Are there some controls you need to follow or more dangerously bypass before getting there? Are you glancing through the document to see if that is the correct one you need to use? Is there some kind of check you perform? These are all the activities you do, and if this is not available, do spend some time in getting it completed. Believe me, this will be a valuable investment of your time.
Next step, bifurcate control procedures from your basic operating procedures. Again, a very important step. In operations world, it's very normal to do things very routinely, very mechanically, without really thinking why you're doing what you're doing, and that is perfectly human. You do it every day. So once you do something on a routine basis, your mind will automatically switch off that attention. But it is really very important to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Until and unless you have that understanding, your project will not be a success. Within your activities which you perform throughout the day, there are many procedures which are in the nature of pure controls, and there are many procedures which are actually basic steps integral to the process, but they are kind of disguised as a control.
Generally speaking, the control procedures can be bifurcated into two types. A, those that are actually disguised procedures. These are there to cover for the shortcomings of the basic system or software that is generating inputs or outputs of operation. Regardless of the process you do, there are always ample instances where your system cannot produce certain figures relevant for you accurately. To meet such deficiencies, control procedures are normally set up to detect the problems and change the system calculated erroneous figures with the right ones.
And B, pure controls. These are the controls which you use to detect inadvertent errors that might have crept into your process.
Step 3. Understand the importance or relevance of controls. This is the most vulnerable part in any efficiency generation or re-engineering projects. Most of the consultants and most of the people who are pressurized to create capacity have a tendency to reduce time of operations by doing away with controls and thus showcasing some efficiency gains. If making and checking takes 15 minutes today, chop out the checking and complete the job in 10 minutes. Wow, you created a 33.33% capacity. But hang on, you might just have done some irreparable damage to your business and took the first step in frustrating your customers, denting a hole in top line of your business. Before doing any such thing, try to understand the importance and relevance of the controls. So far as the controls which are actually disguised procedures, you should be really careful before you propose to do away with any of them. These are a part and parcel of core operations. You simply cannot do away with them as your end product will be an erroneous one. And since they are there to cover for your system deficiency, in most cases, they should be out of scope for your re-engineering projects. Here, your option is to prepare a case for system changes or upgrades and proceed through your company's IT change methodology. Regarding the pure controls,
you need to analyze these controls to find out if they are too much or too less. Get your past data, analyze the error trends for the last 6 months and find out how many of them were really detected or how many passed through the mesh. Challenge these. Find out if the controls that exist today are optimal or not. What changes you need to bring to your controls. Remember, control is not a static thing. It has to evolve with the changed operations. And don't be afraid if it means you need to put some more controls at this stage. Don't worry, you might be able to save some valuable time later on during the final review or quality control process.
Step 4. Look out for repetitive procedures or activities which are mechanical in nature and may not require your shining human intellect. There are myriads of such activities that are done in operations, like accessing files from or copying files to a particular drive or location in server, extracting data from previously saved records, renaming files according to a particular naming convention, running a macro on selected data, arranging your emails to pre-designated folders, and so on. The list is endless, and we do deploy costly human resources to do these jobs.
Identify these from the list you have created in step 1. Discuss with your IT folks whether it is possible to develop a robotic solution or a small program that can do the job as efficiently, and you save some valuable human resource time which can be gainfully utilized elsewhere.
Step 5. Look out for time gaps within the flow of operations. This is optimal utilization of time.
From the detailed list you have prepared in step 1, find out the time lag between various groups of activities that are done during the day.
Simple way to do this is to break your day into time windows and plot the work team is doing during each such windows. Factor in adequate buffer for lunch breaks and all other breaks and huddle times and training times, and still you will be surprised to find spare time pockets throughout the day. Try to push the activity windows of your team in a way to match the spare time of most of your team members. Of course, there are certain time critical activities which you cannot really push up or down, but wherever there are such opportunities, try to synchronize them.
The idea is to pool maximum amount of spare time into one particular window. This is something which you can consolidate and manage very effectively. So you get two benefits here. One, you create a bigger virtual team of people who are all present on the floor during a common time window. That will give you a better flexibility in managing, especially when you have shrinkage due to whatever reason. The other benefit is you pool the free time of your team members in one particular window that can give you a spare capacity. Think it this way. If you have 10 members of your team and each of these members have 30 minutes spare capacity throughout the day, if they all do their work in different parts of the day, then 30 minutes per person will not really give you any benefit. You cannot really do anything about it. But imagine all those 10 people are having those 30 minutes together. Then you have created a capacity of 300 minutes, which is equivalent to 5 man-hours. That is substantial. So look out for these kind of opportunities and create that capacity which you can use for your business operations. And the final one, document your findings. Let's recapitulate what we have found so far.
1. A list of system deficiencies identified in step 2, which you cover up today with additional controls or disguised operations. You need to create a request for change and submit to your IT folks. 2. A list of excessive controls identified in step 3, which you might reduce, or a list of additional controls which you need to deploy. 3. List of repetitive mundane activities identified in step 4 that you can ask a robotic program to perform. And 4. The amount of capacity created by synchronizing activities of your team. The last two steps will have potential of yielding you the desired percentage of efficiency you are looking for. For the system deficiencies identified in step 2, you have to attack through proper IT-related change procedures. You need not break your head by looking for a fix through your business process re-engineering project. That may not work.
That's all for today. We'll be coming back again with another video with more such tips and tricks of operations right from the floor, if you like. All of these have been picked up during my 26 years of experience in the corporate world. I sincerely hope some of you might find this useful. If you find this interesting, you might want to subscribe to my channel and get more such tips. Bye for now. Enjoy your day. Office can be a wonderful place if you know how to enjoy your day. Goodbye and good luck. See you again.